Welcome to the Little Wins Podcast, where school leaders share their little wins that build strong culture, with your host, Karen Borchert. Welcome back to Little Wins, the podcast that lifts up the everyday powerful work of school leaders, one small win at a time. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Jennifer Rosenblum, head of school for the Academy of Blanchard, part of the Academies of Oklahoma. Jennifer is part of the team creating a new school where she will lead a pre-K through 12th grade school grounded in early college pathways, student life planning, and innovative, inclusive learning experiences. She's in a rare and exciting position of building a school and a school culture from the ground up. Jennifer's leadership is creative, relationship-centered, and deeply intentional, whether she's creating space for outdoor learning, designing a culture of teacher recognition, or centering student belonging. She is living out the Little Wins philosophy every day, and I am so thrilled to welcome her to the podcast. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, we are so excited to dig into everything that it takes to create a new school culture from the ground up. This is going to be so much fun. So first of all, let's start a little bit and rewind and talk about your journey. Tell us a little bit about how you got into this world of creating a new school.
It's kind of a magical journey. Actually, I have been in traditional public education for 29 years and just was super happy at my job at an early childhood center. I was the principal there, and the opportunity came across my path to open a new charter school. And charter is kind of I don't know that there's not a good connotation with it always. And so I was resistant. And then the more that I dug in, the more conversations we had, I realized that this was the opportunity to do what I've waited my entire life to do. There are not as many walls in place, and I'm being allowed to knock all of them down, literally and figuratively, and create this school of, I think, everyone's dreams, not just my dreams, but in Oklahoma, we are 50th in the nation in education, and there's nowhere to go except up. And I know so many educators that are passionate. There's no reason that we should be 50th, and just being able to do things differently is going to be life-changing. So year 30, planning year with the Academies of Oklahoma, the Academy of Blanchard, and big things are happening.
That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about the Academies of Oklahoma. How many schools? What's it like? What's the charter sort of based on? Just to tell us, help us learn a little bit more about the network.
So the first school, the Academy of Seminole, opened in 2018 with 34 9th and 10th graders.
Okay,
and they started off with the life planning early college, and then quickly decided that they wanted that experience to be for all kids. And so the next year they opened up pre-K through 12 and really have taken education by storm. Prior to the Academy of Seminole opening, it was legislation that would not allow charter schools to be anywhere in Oklahoma except Tulsa and Oklahoma City. But rural students need opportunities. And so our founder, Paul Campbell, and Ren Hawthorne, our superintendent, lobbied for legislation to be changed. And so now Seminole opened, and it's their mission to provide these opportunities to rural students across Oklahoma. Last school year, the Academy of Okmulgee opened. Blanchard opens next fall, and then in the next 2 years after that, we have plans to open 3 more.
Excellent. Wow, that's a lot of growth in just a few years. So I'm so excited to hear where you start, right? So when you are talking about building a culture from scratch, building a team from the ground up, what was the first thing you did building this new school or getting started with it?
So I've spent this school, this year was my planning year. And I spent a lot of time in the community working with putting our mission and vision out there to see the input that people had, what they really wanted from school and what we were willing to bring. The first meeting that I had last August, about 15 people showed up. So I started promoting on social media and just word of mouth. The second meeting in October, we had over 120 people there. So the community really came out, and ever since then, every community event that we've had great turnout. We've had Facebook Live. Our meetings were held on Facebook Live. So we would have over 1,000 views on those. So I knew that people were really interested. Our original plan was to open in August of this year. Mm-hmm. But we decided to delay to build up some of our district services, get our building built. And the delay was hard because I had teachers that were wanting to come and they were ready, but I also had students and families that were ready to come. And so that was I have a hard time disappointing people. Yeah. So disappointing people was extremely hard because they're ready for something different. Sure. But the delay has been absolutely essential for our growth. And I think that it's just going to make us more ready when we open to meet the needs of everyone.
I love that. I love the sort of candor and vulnerability of saying, this, it was a setback and it was disappointing and difficult to tell people not yet. But I think, it sounds like that's a choice, making that kind of go slow to go fast later, or, set up for success seems like a really, really important thing. What are you doing? Tell us what does this year look like until you open? Take us on the launch sequence here.
So this is the most exciting thing for me. I was able to secure a grant that is allowing me to hire a planning team. And so I was able to bring 3 people with me. An executive assistant who really is my right hand. She is so good at recruitment events, at figuring out finance and keeping track of everything that we're doing. She is knowledgeable about families and what they need. And she just helps keep me going down that path. Mm-hmm. I was also able to hire 2 teachers as planning team members. So together, the 3 of us this school year will create progressions of learning. We'll work on how we're going to build culture, which has already started, because that's really important to me, to see people for the strengths that they bring and distribute that leadership. I cannot do any of this by myself. I'm part of a team at the Academies of Oklahoma, a leadership team that is visionary and progressive. My superintendent, the director of life planning, Sherry Bray, Ren is my superintendent. The vision that they have for changing rural education is like nothing I've ever seen before. The people that I'm bringing with me on this planning team, we have the skills, the knowledge, and the desire to, like I said, to knock the walls down. And so you mentioned earlier, outdoor learning. We would like to figure out and plan multi-age classrooms, how we're going to meet the needs differently, because we want to set every student up for success for, a world that is changing every day and for jobs that don't really even exist yet. And this plan for us for this year is creating a model school in Blanchard that we're hoping other people flock to make parts of it their own.
Cool. That is great. Great to hear. I love the idea of this planning team. Tell me, you mentioned, kind of thinking about how to build a culture for a school, and that's already started. Talk a little bit about what does intentional culture planning look like when you're starting from scratch, when there isn't a culture yet because the school doesn't exist yet. Tell me how do you do that as the leader? How do you start to set that up? What does that look and feel like for you?
I think that, it happens with new people coming. I think it happens as early as the interview. So, I have had interviews with people, and it's more than just what are your skills? It's, are we a fit together? Do you see the vision? Do you, I ask a lot of intentional questions about, their strengths and just putting those pieces together, because I think that having the right people on the bus, but having the right people in the right seats, and knowing that, being able to build that from the ground up, being very transparent about, we're not going to go in our classrooms and close the doors. This is going to be a collaborative effort. We're going to distribute the leadership. All of the work isn't supposed to be on teachers. And I think that that's what has happened in the past with teacher burnout. We get too, there are too many things on their plates. The people who are talking and the people who are doing the talking and the hands-on are the ones doing the learning. So I think we've taken that away from students, and we've ended up spoon feeding them because we need to get them to a certain place. I think we need to step back and make a more learner-centered focus. And I think when we do those things, teachers will be excited to come to school. I think the joy will be back in school. From my past, building that culture is seeing people like, I see what you're doing, and not just skipping past it, but actually recognizing it and applauding it, because this is like, teaching is hard work, and it's like your heart is involved. It's not like going to a business. It's not, the compassion, the empathy that you have to have is exhausting. And so it's really my job to build this culture where I can take care of all of the teachers so that they can take care of each other and their students.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. That's great. That's great to hear. I love what you said about kind of building a culture is about seeing people. I want to dig into what you said about kind of creating that learner focused classroom and how that helps bring the joy back to the work of being an educator. Will you talk a little bit more about that? About what does it look like to have joy in the work as an educator, and what are you doing to kind of foster that or create that sense?
I think that we have gotten so focused on content. Like kids, we have to hit every standard. There are too many standards, and teachers feel this pressure to get to the finish line. And so we're not developing problem solvers or critical thinkers. They can spit information back, but kids aren't excited about it. We have kind of come to a place in education, and most people know this, where we have behaviors and teachers they don't feel like they can teach. They don't feel, they feel like they're having to do a lot other than give their content and hit their standards. So I think if we make it learner centered and kids are learning about things that they're interested in, they're doing their work. They're getting to go deeper versus quicker and running through things. We just run through things. Kids don't have a chance to get into the meat of anything, especially if it's something that they're really interested in. And I think that we can narrow the standards that we focus on, but go a lot deeper with it. And I think that this active engagement, this hands-on learning, I think kids they're not going to be crying when they get out of the cars in the morning. They're not going to be not wanting to get out of bed. And I think that parents fight these battles. We're in a place right now where we have chronic absenteeism across the nation, and it's horrible. Why don't kids want to come to school? I think that, I have a third grade and a first grade granddaughter. They bring home stacks of worksheets, and they're learning skills. and I think the teacher is doing the best job that she can, but why aren't they going outside? Why aren't they learning about the grass growing? Why aren't they learning about the butterflies migrating? And they do learn about those things, but I just think they don't need to be spots of joy throughout the school year. I think every day has to be filled with joy. And I think that we'll see a lot of changes in the school on the teacher side, the family side, and the student side.
Yeah. Awesome. Every day has to be filled with joy is a great goal. I love that. I think that's, it's the kind of statement like that really takes, becomes kind of a mantra as you're building the school and becomes kind of the like rallying cry that's like, I don't know, was the day filled with joy or not? Like, and that can start right now, even in the planning phase, right?
Yes.
That's wonderful. So I know you've mentioned that you draw a lot of inspiration from some of the Finnish models around early childhood education. Can you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about integrating play and nature-based learning into your approach?
Yes. So I got the opportunity to travel to Finland in March, and the hugest difference that I saw was in the foundation. I didn't see these lessons where they were knocking it out of the park and they were so different. In fact, I see a lot of teachers in Oklahoma that teach with, rigor or more excitement maybe than I saw in Finland. But the main difference I saw was in the foundation. They, 86% of their kids at 12 months start early childhood education.
Wow.
And it's government funded. And so the most that anyone has to pay for an 8 to 4 full-time child to go, not to daycare necessarily, but early childhood education, is $300 a month. And so that's the highest. They have just placed a tremendous importance on that. Their kids come at 12 months and they spend an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the afternoon outside. It's play-based learning. It's developmental. It's social interaction with each other. They don't have rules on their playground. They expect the kids to figure out when they can go up the slide, or like we have all of these rules of here's a buddy bench. If someone's sitting on it, make sure they're not left alone. And they say, if someone's alone, maybe they need to figure out like what's happening. What are they doing? Like the kids need to problem solve together. Very natural play. I saw them playing on less toys and instead like independent exploration in the forest or in the field. And these were from 12 months up to 6. And so they're doing some that like introduction to letters, but it's really more natural play. Then at 6, the kids start first grade and they don't have these big gaps in reading because they're ready to read developmentally. Instead, we start kids in kindergarten and we start putting them in Title I because they're behind and we only do a 25-minute recess but they need that time. They need that time to play and grow.
That play.
I think that at the Academy of Blanchard, we want to infuse this, let's stop cramming curriculum down their throats at 4 and 5. Let's develop their natural skills. And then let's see how much growth there is, in the little ones and the foundation that they have for joy. The other big thing that they did there that I was so excited about is they create independence in kids. They put their own snowsuits on to go outside. They serve themselves lunch. They clean up lunch. And they don't start all of that until they're about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But if you go to a traditional public school right now, we have helpers in the cafeteria that open all of their food for them and cut their packages open and help them. It's just different. Our kids are very, very dependent on the adults.
That's so interesting. So as you're thinking about formulating this new school and you're building, building kind of all of these plans, how what are you bringing over from some of these schools that you visited and learned from as far as this? And how do you balance that with family expectations, that initial input that you got from families? I would imagine that, that I doubt that there's any families that were like, just make sure that they're putting their own snowsuits on. But at the same time, you're trying to kind of accomplish, this sort of innovative new school. So how do you balance what families are used to, what the standards have been in the schools that they go to now, with these innovative things that you want to do? Talk a little bit about that.
So that is really, really a great question. I think that one of my huge goals is to put into place a family education program. And
Okay.
so this isn't going to be, from the top down, this is what we're doing. I still welcome individual conversations. I met with a family last Wednesday and we talked about the new cell phone mandate, saying that we can't have cell phones in schools in Oklahoma. Parents are worried about those things. I think that what you just said, parents will be worried if I'm not teaching, if they're not attacking all of these standards and all of these skills in kindergarten, my child's going to be behind.
Right.
And so what I would like to do is we come together. I'm very transparent. I'm very passionate and excited, and I want people to understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish, and that we are fifth. So not only is Oklahoma 50th in education, the United States is 41st in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like what we're doing is working. And so if I can get people to see the vision and trust that maybe something completely different is what we need, that the gains that we see will make it worth it. And I believe that coming together as this whole community, helping the parents understand what we're doing, but also understand what they can do differently to, bridge those gaps and to be more progressive, I think is important.
That's great. I love that kind of incorporation, starting to think about, how do you really listen, but bring families along together. So it's an effort together. I have to ask about the cell phone mandate. I didn't know that. What do you think the effect of that is for your school or for schools generally? Do you feel good about that plan? Where are you?
Well, I think that there's this, we have gotten very afraid of violence in schools. And there's also this need to be able to contact our children, to have this connection all the time. I can understand, like, if you have a child that's playing, sports after school and they
Right.
need to have a phone so that you can schedule pickup or make sure that they've gotten home after, whatever that is. But I don't think that anyone outside of education really understands the impact that cell phones and social media have on the daily, on daily life inside of schools. Not just students, adults, we are all so cell phone dependent. Addicted is the word. Like, we really are addicted. However many times that we touch our phones during the day to turn it on to see if we have a message, to check social media. And it is so distracting from school. It is so distracting from school. And so I think making parents understand that it's not denying access to kids. It's not teaching with the technology, because we want kids to understand how to use technology.
Sure.
But there's a book that I recently read called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt.
Sure. Yep.
And it talks about the mental health issues that are happening because of social media and cell phone addiction. And so if we can balance, I want parents to feel comfortable. I think that kids will feel safe. And I hope that parents feel safe at school if they can see the community that we build. And so that culture that I want to build with teachers, that's important to me to build with students and parents. Parents are never shut out of our building. We want them to feel like they can come, see what the kids are learning, volunteer, be part of the growth, be part of structuring things. We want kids to relate to each other. We want to use restorative practices. Everyone should have this sense of belonging. I want when anyone walks into our building, I want them to feel warmth and joy that this is a place. This isn't a place where someone needs to come settle a score or do anything, because we are transparent and we do want what's best for every family and we want to communicate. And so I think you open those lines of communication and things just get better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. I know it's a big debate. And I've read The Anxious Generation too. It's one of the books I hear the most from school leaders, that have really made them think, over the past year. So, I think it'll be really interesting, especially when it's a statewide mandate in that way, if it's that way, to see kind of what the effects are over the course of the next few years. But loved hearing your perspective on that. Let's go back to kind of teacher support and recognition. I know you care deeply about this, and you've got a big vision for this. Tell me a little bit about kind of what is it going to look like when your teachers walk in the building that very first time? What's in store for the culture you're creating for them?
Oh, I think that the culture creating for the teachers, they're going to be shocked. So in Oklahoma, we have 30,000 certified teachers that have left the profession. Wow. There are times that I have posted a position as an administrator when I have had 0 applicants. With the Academy of Blanchard, I do little videos on Facebook. I talk to teachers wherever I go. I go to national conferences. Sorry.
Take your time. Oh, take your time. You're good. Have some water. I'll have some coffee.
I just went to an outdoor learning conference in Maine.
Okay.
And there were probably 50 educators there. There were probably 50 educators there from across the United States. I get so excited about everything that I talk about, everything that I do. I had a teacher from Mississippi say, when your school opens, I want to come visit it. I had another teacher that I didn't know that I met from Oklahoma who said, I'm interested in talking to you more about possibly coming to teach there.
Wow.
I had one from Maine who said, I would love to come there for a year. I would love to come be a part of what you're doing. And so I think the excitement comes through. I think I've had lots of people send me emails and say, are you hiring yet? Are you talking to people? No. I don't even have any positions posted yet. And so I think the excitement for this is going to be different. We're going to have a chance to be a part of something that we built from the ground up together. I'm really not a top down, like, here's how everything's going to be. My planning team right now, we take a lot of things that have worked in the past, a lot of things that we go visit, things that we're excited about, and we're creating from that. But we also talk to other educators that we've worked with or people that we go visit at schools. And so creating this excitement of we really can change the landscape. We're not in a traditional public school where you have to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Like, they're going to have not just autonomy to do whatever they want, but the excitement to bring any idea to the table in here, let's flesh it out and then let's try it. Let's see
Yeah.
what, not being afraid that they're going to get no, not feeling like they have to do it in secret and ask for forgiveness. That's not how it's going to be. It's going to be, let's think big and let's help each other get there.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that kind of combination that you're talking about around autonomy and voice. Those are two themes that we see in our work a lot as well. So when you think about, teachers being able to bring a big idea to the table, try it out, that kind of thing, that it can be hard, right? In a school setting where you've got, you have expectations, you have all of these things that you're trying to get done. There's never enough time. Nobody wants one more thing on their plate. So how do you think about that sort of practically? How will you go about that with your educators as far as really welcoming that voice and that autonomy at the table in trying new things and building new ideas? How will you make that happen?
So what I would like to do is when we do a lottery for our students. So anyone that wants to attend joins a lottery in March, and then we do the drawing. So our drawing is the last day of March, and our students will be set then. So we'll know how many teachers we need, So the plan is to have already interviewed in March, and we know, like, if we're at capacity, we need this many teachers. And this is who we want to hire. The plan would be from that day until school opens that we're already building our culture together. Yep. And we're meeting, we're talking about the expectations, but also, like, if you could, in an interview, my question would be, what have you always wanted to do? What have you dreamed of doing that you've never been able to do? And so from that point right there, we want those big thinkers and those big dreamers, and you're not going to be squashed here, but you have to have the follow through to do it. So if we can find resources, if we can build it, then what does that look like going forward? And we might have to stop and restart and change trajectory, but I'm okay with that because, your failures are where you learn the most. And I think that's what we've gotten away from, even with kids, that we are so afraid to let them fail, but that is where they learn the most. So the same with my teachers. Let's just be innovative and just start creating. So from that March until August, I would like to build the trust, the excitement, the passion, of what we offer kids.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love that interview question. I think, you were saying earlier, culture kind of starts at the interview, which I love that. And I think that's so smart. I love the question of, what have you always wanted to do as an educator that you've never been able to do? I want to ask people we interview with that question. Now that's a really good interview question. That's great. I know you talked a little bit already about kind of building a culture of belonging for students and about sort of fostering that feeling of really being inclusive and creating a sense of belonging. Are there any strategies that you have seen in what you're studying or that you are planning to put into place that really help to make sure that you ensure that sense of belonging for all students?
I would really, really, really love to create some sort of a house system. And so where, like, potentially we have 4 houses in our school in pre-K through 12. So our model is very small. We have 1 class per grade level.
Okay.
So at capacity, we will probably be around 350 kids.
Okay.
I would love to have, 4 or 6 houses, and every single student belongs to a house. So they're not divided by grade. They're all in these houses together. And so we have students in one house that can tutor younger students, or that it's kind of their micro community within our already small community. And so maybe one house does a game night in with their families. only that micro community comes, and they play together, they learn together, they share together. They nurture, they model for each other. And so I think having a group that you just travel with and you feel connected to is important. And I mean, I really believe that connection changes everything. If you are connected to other students, if you are connected to your teachers, if you're connected to speakers that we have come in, that connection can change people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know an educator who says, he works in a very large high school, and he always says the goal is for kids to just find at least one place, just one, like it's a very large school. So just finding one small community where they belong, any activity, sport, all of those things that create like creation of just an identity. He's a history teacher, and he actually makes T-shirts for his history class every year, just so that it's a thing that you belong to be part of his history class, which I love. I love that as an idea or a concept as well. But that is wonderful. I'm so excited to see and hear how this school emerges, and how it all kind of comes to be, which things you end up kind of choosing and going forward with, which big ideas you take forward, which ones you hold on for a little bit. It's gonna be really, really fun to see that. Okay, let's. So we always end with the same 3 questions on our podcast. Are you ready for our 3 questions?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. First of all, what are 3 words that you want to define your school culture?
Courageous.
Oh, yes.
Compassionate.
Okay.
And vibrant.
Vibrant. Oh man, this is a good combo. Do you want to tell us a little bit about courageous?
So the courageous part, I do think that it takes courage to leave traditional positions and come to something that is this new and this different. I think that it takes courage on the parts of families, because we are used to there being, 20 classrooms in a building,
right?
And we sit in rows and we listen to the teacher and we take spelling tests and we learn. I think it takes courage to try something completely different. And I think that's true for all of the stakeholders. I feel like I can connect with people really easily, but I think that I also probably can scare people, because I'm like, oh no, let's be like bold in these decisions. Yeah. But I think it's time. It's time to be bold.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Compassionate. I do think that we have lost compassion in our society. I think COVID was terrible. Like, we all pulled back, but sometimes we forget to just care about each other. And I want to teach kids empathy and compassion. So how do we give people grace? We don't, everyone doesn't fit into this same mold, and we can still care about everyone. And I think it's important. It's even for teachers. Like, teachers lose sight of the human part sometimes because we have so much to cover. And they were trained to be teachers, but it really has shifted the same way that education needs to shift, because kids are going on different paths than they've ever gone on before. We need to shift. And so I think that teaching soft skills is probably a lot more important at this time right now than 85 standards in each subject.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't agree more. Okay. And then vibrant.
I'm telling you, I want people to walk into the school and feel like when they walk in, they feel it. It's different here.
Yeah.
It feels different here. And so, and they may not even like right away, like, what is that? But they like, it is. It's different.
Something.
When they come in, it's the way that they're greeted. When we're unloading cars, we are excited to see every person. I'll tell you, like unloading cars, I usually know the kids' names that are getting out. I know the babies that are in the car seats that haven't come yet. And I know the dogs' names because the dogs ride to school with them. And when you know those things and you know the parents' names too, there just is a connection and there's a warmth and a joy. And I think that vibrant when you pass our learning studios, I want people to feel that excitement about engagement, that the kids there are no kids in there that are just like with their heads down, asleep. They are excited to be there. Yeah. And the teachers too. I want the teachers, like that's important to me. Everyone that works there is excited to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Second question, what's one little win you've had at work lately?
Oh,
something we can celebrate for you.
So I mentioned that I went to Maine and we learned a lot about place-based learning. And they gave us some time in the afternoon to send out emails or make connections with people who could possibly, help us with something at school, with a project, with something. So I reached out to a family that has their own business, a tree management business in Blanchard. And we actually had dinner last week and they have tons of ideas for trees that they cut down or that they can help us create an outdoor amphitheater. They can help us create these learning spaces in nature. I talked to him about helping us build a pond that the kids a small pond that they can study little life forms in there and do things. And so the people in the community want to be a part of something like this for their children and we're building. And I think, so when we were talking, they said, oh, we know someone else that has this business. We know someone that has an organic farm and she would love to help you start a farm. And like those little things just trickle into more and more and more and more. So that's my little win.
That's a great little win. That's a pretty big little win. I like that. That's awesome. Okay, last question, and kind of particularly interesting and relevant to when you're starting a team from scratch. But we always say around here that school culture is everybody's job. It's made up of all of the collective choices we make together, not any one thing that one leader does or one person does. So, what is one thing that you believe any educator can do to improve their school culture right now, no matter where they teach or where they're going to teach?
Let's see, one thing that they can do. I think recognizing what other people do. So if you're a teacher, it's just that whole thing of, I see you. Like if you have a teammate who steps in and covers for you when you're running late. If you have a teammate who had a great idea and shared it with everyone, just that culture, whoever it is, if it's a peer, if it's a child, a student, you like just giving validation. I see how I see that. Yeah. I see your strengths and, you may drive me crazy. I'm going to tell, like, I can drive everyone crazy because I run late sometimes, but I have a lot of other really great strengths. And so if people see the things that I'm good at, it makes me want to get better at the things that I'm weaker at.
That's good at. Yeah. I also don't have a problem with that, with lateness. Yeah. Don't worry.
I think it has to do with all the things that are going on in my head. I
just want to be able to do more in a day.
Yeah, for sure. But I think just that validation of, oh yeah, I see you. I think that it can change everything.
That's great. That's great. Well, Jennifer, you have brought us so many fun little wins and ideas to share on this podcast today. I love all of the ways that you talk about incorporating more play and the outdoors into a school culture. Really the idea of rethinking the idea of teachers feeling like they need to get to a finish line and instead really focusing on the learner. I love, the idea of having a really intentional way of unloading cars and knowing people's names. Even things like place-based learning and learning studios, all kind of, built on the idea that every day has to be filled with joy. This is going to be a really exciting school to see come to life. I hope you'll come back and introduce us to the school once it's open and help us understand, everything about what you've built and the culture that you're building. It'll be really fun to see it come to life. So thank you so much for your time today, and wishing you a wonderful planning year with your team ahead.
I have adored you since the second I met you. And
Thanks.
I just feel so lucky to be on here today and for giving me an audience to share my passion with. So thank you, Karen.
Absolutely. I bet you're going to have some applicants for your jobs. Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a little win? We'd love to hear from you. Learn how we help schools build strong culture at getalpaca.com.